Putin never saw this coming. Ukraine just shut down Russia's biggest industry instantly, crippling their economy. Streamline News investigates the shocking fallout. On January 1st, 2025, Ukraine made a historic move. It shut down the flow of Russian gas through its pipelines. This decision sent shockwaves through the global energy market. It marked a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. For decades, Russia had used its vast energy resources as a weapon. It sought to influence and control its neighbors. The pipelines crossing Ukraine were a lifeline for Russia's gas exports to Europe. They provided Moscow with substantial revenue and leverage. Ukraine's decision to cut off this flow struck at the heart of Russia's energy dominance. It demonstrated Ukraine's resolve to resist Russian aggression. This move was not just about energy, it was about sovereignty and independence. The shutdown was a culmination of events that began with Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The invasion shattered the illusion of energy interdependence. It exposed the risks of relying on an aggressor state for essential resources. Ukraine's move signaled a definitive break from the past. The consequences of Ukraine's decision were immediately felt in Moscow. Russia's energy giant, Gazprom, lost a major transit route for its gas exports. This dealt a heavy blow to the Russian economy, which was already reeling from sanctions. The shutdown cost Gazprom billions of dollars in lost revenue. It further isolated Russia in the global energy market. The Kremlin's strategy of using energy as a weapon had backfired. The impact on Russia's war effort was also significant. The loss of gas revenue constrained Russia's ability to finance its military operations in Ukraine. The economic pressure on Moscow mounted, forcing it to reconsider its options. The shutdown exposed the vulnerability of Russia's energy empire. It demonstrated that Russia was not immune to the consequences of its actions. The economic fallout from the shutdown sent a clear message. Aggression comes at a price. The impact of Ukraine's decision was not limited to Russia. Europe, heavily reliant on Russian gas, faced its own set of challenges. While the continent had been diversifying its energy sources since the 2022 invasion, the sudden shutdown created a scramble for alternatives. Gas prices soared as European countries rushed to secure supplies. Some nations, particularly those heavily dependent on Russian gas via the Ukrainian pipeline, faced potential shortages. The situation tested Europe's energy resilience and solidarity. The European Union activated emergency plans to mitigate the impact. Member states cooperated to share gas reserves and find alternative suppliers. The crisis underscored the need for greater energy independence and accelerated the transition to renewable sources. The shutdown had a ripple effect on various sectors of the European economy. Industries that relied heavily on gas faced production cuts and rising costs. Consumers felt the pinch as energy bills surged. Ukraine's decision to shut down the gas pipeline reverberated far beyond the realm of energy. It triggered a geopolitical earthquake, shifting the balance of power in the region and beyond. Russia's status as an energy superpower was diminished. Its ability to use energy as leverage over Europe was significantly weakened. The shutdown emboldened other countries to challenge Russia's assertiveness. The move strengthened Ukraine's position on the world stage. It demonstrated Ukraine's willingness to take bold action in defense of its interests. The shutdown garnered international support for Ukraine and increased pressure on Russia. The event highlighted the growing importance of energy security in international relations. Countries recognized the vulnerability of relying on potentially hostile states for essential resources. The pursuit of energy diversification and independence became a strategic imperative. Section 5. Retaliation and response. Russia's options dwindle. Faced with this setback, Russia sought ways to retaliate and limit the damage. However, its options were limited. The Kremlin resorted to familiar tactics, launching cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns aimed at undermining Ukraine and sowing discord in the West. Russia also attempted to pressure European countries that were still reliant on its gas, hoping to exploit divisions within the EU. These efforts, however, proved largely ineffective. The international community condemned Russia's actions and rallied behind Ukraine. The EU imposed further sanctions on Moscow, targeting key sectors of the Russian economy. The Kremlin found itself increasingly isolated. its room for maneuver shrinking. The shutdown of the gas pipeline marked a turning point in the conflict. It demonstrated that Russia's strategy of using energy as a weapon had backfired. The Kremlin was forced to confront the consequences of its aggression. Section 6. The Energy Chessboard. Europe's Quest for Alternatives. The shutdown of the Russian gas pipeline through Ukraine forced Europe to accelerate its transition to alternative energy sources. The EU set ambitious targets for renewable energy and energy efficiency, aiming to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. European countries scrambled to secure liquefied natural gas from other suppliers, such as the United States and Qatar. New import terminals were built, and existing infrastructure was expanded to accommodate the increased LNG imports. The crisis also spurred investment in renewable energy sources, such as wind and solar power. European governments provided incentives for the development of renewable energy projects and accelerated the deployment of clean energy technologies. The shutdown of the pipeline, while disruptive in the short term, presented an opportunity for Europe to accelerate its transition to a more sustainable and secure energy future. Section 7. Ukraine's Gamble, a calculated risk for freedom. Ukraine's decision to shut down the Russian gas pipeline was not without risks. It meant sacrificing billions of dollars in transit fees, a significant sum for a country already facing economic hardship due to the war. However, the Ukrainian government calculated that the long-term benefits outweighed the short-term costs. By cutting off Russia's energy leverage, Ukraine struck a blow for its own freedom and security. The move was also a gamble on the support of the international community. Ukraine was counting on its allies to provide financial assistance and help it weather the economic storm. The gamble paid off. The international community rallied behind Ukraine, providing financial aid and technical expertise to help it navigate the energy crisis. Section 8. The Long Game. Implications for the future of energy. The shutdown of the Russian gas pipeline through Ukraine had profound implications for the future of energy. It marked a turning point in the global energy landscape, accelerating the transition away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy sources. The crisis exposed the vulnerability of relying on single suppliers for essential resources. It highlighted the need for energy diversification and the importance of investing in renewable energy technologies. The event also underscored the geopolitical significance of energy. It demonstrated that energy security is national security and that energy independence is crucial for maintaining sovereignty and freedom. The shutdown of the pipeline marked the beginning of a new era in the global energy landscape, one characterized by diversification, decarbonization, and a greater focus on energy security. Section 9. A New Era. The world awakens to energy security. The shutdown of Russia's gas pipeline through Ukraine served as a wake-up call for the world. It highlighted the interconnectedness of energy security, national security, and geopolitical stability. Countries around the world began to reassess their own energy strategies, looking for ways to reduce their dependence on potentially hostile states and diversify their energy sources. The event spurred a global race to secure access to critical minerals and resources needed for the transition to a clean energy future. Countries realized that the competition for energy resources would intensify in the coming years. The shutdown of the pipeline marked the beginning of a new era in international relations, one in which energy security would play an increasingly central role. The world had entered a new chapter in the great game of energy geopolitics. Do you think this move will force Russia into collapse? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like and share to spread the truth. Subscribe to Streamline News and turn on notifications for real-time breaking updates.